Hey everyone, today on Analysis we have the newest VIP monster, Hydrok the Forgotten. Hydrok was the commander of the most important undersea army 800 years ago. Time passed and his army disappeared, but this honorable warrior remains, still guarding the depth of the ocean. So first things first, let's take a look at Hydrok. He has one of the coolest designs in the whole entire game. Just check out his teenage form and his adult form. It looks really cool. The designers did a really good job on him. So let's take a look at his stats. His power comes in at 3,531, which is actually the highest power of all the water monsters. It's actually tied with Anton, and the second of which is Lord Mammoth, which comes in at 3,465. So he has roughly around a 60-point lead on Lord Mammoth. So it's a really good power. Of all the water monsters, again, it's the highest, tied with Anton. His life is 31,366, and his life is actually the third highest of all the water monsters, and that just falls below the Prisoner and Lord Mammoth. So again, it's a really good life considering only the water monsters. And his speed comes in at 3,421, which when you consider only the water monsters, it comes in 5th place, tied with Thetis. So again, he's not the fastest monster, and that might be a dilemma considering lots of water monsters have freeze and stun moves. However, we move on to his traits. Fortunately for Hydrok, he has the unique trait which gives all status effects a 50% less accuracy against him. So in that regard, he has one of the best traits in the game, and it kind of gives him a little shield against freezing, stunning, burning, basically all traits in the game. Now, moving on to his abilities. The default skills aren't that impressive as usual. Deep Immersion, 85 damage, however it's only to a single enemy. So I'm not sure how good of a move that is. It sounds like a basic move to me. We'll move on to skill group number 1. Atmospheric Pressure, deals heavy special damage, requires cooldown, 45 damage, 28 stamina, 1 turn cooldown. It's an okay move for skill group 1. Losted Anchors, deals moderate water damage to all enemies. Moderate here meaning 20 damage. That really seems like low water damage, but again, it's skill group 1. Old Anchor deals heavy water damage, 50% chance of stunning the target. So a 50% chance, as we all know, that tends to miss a lot. It has no cooldown, so that's nice, but we'll move on to skill groups 2 and skill groups 3, where you're going to be picking your moves from. So in my opinion, there's only 5 moves that you honestly want to choose from. The first of which is Decompression. It deals very heavy special damage, requires a cooldown. So here, very special damage is defined by 60 damage, 28 stamina, and a 1 turn cooldown. Now what I love about this move is the 28 stamina. And actually, I was looking through his moves. Most of them are a little under 28 stamina. And 28 stamina is perfect in case you ever go against a Thetis and they do stamina drain, or if you ever go against a monster that does stamina leak and you're able to put stamina regeneration on your monster, you recover exactly 28 stamina, which means you'll always be able to use a move. So that's really cool when a monster has 28 stamina. And it does 60 damage. So that is really good in my opinion. If you're buying Hydrok, it's definitely a move you want to consider putting on him, especially when I compare it to his strongest attack later on. Then we move on to Ancient Anchors. It's an AoE, it deals 45 damage, 3 turn cooldown, 36 stamina. Now this is his super strong AoE. You want to equip this for sure on the monster if you're going to be using him. There's not much to say. I'm actually a little surprised that it doesn't have a stun, considering Old Anchor has 50% chances to stun, and normally when a move progresses like that, like in skill group 2, it's like 100% chance to stun. Now it'd be really interesting if later on in the game he's actually buffed and he does have an AoE stun, because it's really powerful and it would perform stun, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. However, it would be interesting. But regardless, an AoE that does 45 damage, it's really good. To my knowledge, the only other monster that has an AoE that does 45 damage is Lord Mammoth, who is also like an attacker. So Hydrok here, having the highest power, he has a slight advantage over him. And then we move on to his third move in skills group 2, Cold Water Wall. Now this is a really interesting thing. It says it gives a 50% shield to the target. I was reading a comment and I searched up a video, and it turns out it's actually a 100% shield. Instead of a big shield, you actually get a full shield. Now that makes him slightly better because he actually has a move worth using. It's basically a full life shield. and with a freeze immunity, 427 stamina, and a 2-turn cooldown. So in my opinion, that's a really good move. You are definitely going to want to run Cold Water Wall if it is a 100% shield. It would really suck if it's just a mistake and they end up nerfing it back to 50% shield, but as a 100% shield, it's a really good move, especially since you're getting freeze immunity. Now you already have your trait that gives you a 50% less vulnerability, but to have an actual guaranteed 100% freeze immunity, it's a really good skill to have, especially considering you're going up against a lot of water monsters who all have, or basically most of them to my knowledge, have freeze moves. So you definitely want Cold Water Wall, and you definitely want Ancient Anchors. Decompression, that one, it's a maybe. It depends when I explain skills group 3 moves, which I'll do right now. So in skills group 3 we have Ambient Pressure, and it deals 50 damage, 28 stamina again, which is awesome, 1-turn cooldown, and the added effect of this is that it gives bleeding. And the cool thing about bleeding, unlike poison, is that no monster currently has an immunity to bleeding, so it's a really good negative effect to give to a monster. Now comparing this to Decompression, you see the only difference is Decompression has 10 more damage and it doesn't give bleeding. So you're going to have to decide which move you're going to want, because they're both really good moves, and you might actually pick both and you might disregard the next move, Borrowed Trauma. Now Borrowed Trauma, it deals massive water damage. I don't know if 70 counts as massive, but according to this, they're counting it as massive, and it's 70 on the damage, 28 on the stamina, which is crazy for a move that does that much damage, I think, and a 4-turn cooldown, which is the bad thing about this. Now I don't understand why it's a 4-turn cooldown. That seems like really high to me. So for that reason alone, you might not want to run it. However, the problem is if you ever go against a fire monster, it'd be really beneficial to have an actual single water move. Like you could probably one hit a monster with having this move. However, the default is if you're going against a thunder monster, it would suck to have this move because it's a 4-turn cooldown and it's not even going to be doing a lot of damage. And the problem I foresee is if you start a game with like Ancient Anchors and then you do Borrowed Trauma and then you do Decompression, you're going to have to wait a turn before using Decompression again, just because this takes 4 turns to recover and this takes 3 turns to recover. So a better idea is to just run Decompression and Ambient Pressure, both of which have a 1-turn cooldown, which you can alternate, and then Cold Water Wall every 2 turns whenever you need a shield. You know, it just seems like it flows more smoothly than this giant 4-turn cooldown move. Maybe in the future it'll be reduced, but as of right now at 4 turns, it doesn't really seem worth it. Unless, again, I mean, it is a strong move. It's the strongest move, especially if you're running 3 strength runes, or maybe 2 strength runes, 1 life rune, both of which are my recommendations. It really depends on the dynamics and structure of your team. So you ultimately have to decide between Cold Water Wall, Ancient Anchors, and then 2 of these, Decompression, Ambient Pressure, Borrowed Trauma, and then because Cold Water Shield, it gives a 30% shield to all targets. A 30% shield is very minimal. A 30k monster, a monster with 30k life gets about 9,000 life. You know, it's not that helpful. So in my opinion, run Cold Water Wall, run Ancient Anchors, and then decide some combination of Decompression, Ambient Pressure, and Borrowed Trauma. And then I'm gonna scroll down to show you guys the monster again. Again, he looks really cool in my opinion. If you have the money and you really like him, go ahead and buy it. If it makes you happy, go ahead and do it. I know a lot of people don't like him because he lacks the AoE freeze, but one thing that people aren't really seeing is that Social Point finally made a water monster that isn't entirely a support. He's actually a pure attacker, which is awesome. You know, if you look at all the other monsters, General Thetis, the Prisoner, Cavenfish, White Walker, Lord of Atlantis, they have all been support monsters, so this is the first pure attacker, which is awesome. You know, we always get mad at Social Point for making fire monsters with the trait immune to burning. So why aren't we getting mad that all the water monsters are only support? It's kind of nice seeing an attacker. I mean, yeah, I really wish he wasn't VIP. If he wasn't VIP, I would buy him in a heartbeat. Because he's a VIP, I'm not going to be buying him. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis. If you guys are going to buy him, just comment below, let me know. I want to know what you guys think of him once you've actually used him. Really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I have another analysis video coming out on Sunday, so I'll see you guys then.